Welcome to Biz Lounge, where we'll give you a peek into the minds and souls of some of the greatest Indian business leaders. India has always been open to various cultures, and at the turn of the century, a new kind of culture sprang up with BPOs that offered appealing jobs and career prospects for the Indian youth. It's GENPACT that's credited with bringing this booming industry to India. Today, we'll chat with the tiger ruling that concrete jungle, Tiger Tyagarajan, and find out what keeps him going. Thanks, Tiger, for joining us.
Thanks, Vishali. Thank you.
Before we get into his roaring success, let's take a look at GENPACT as an organization, past, present, and future.
It's 10 in the morning and Tiger is on the prowl at GENPACT's Gurgaon offices. He tackles one topic after another and is constantly on the move.
I normally break about a phone a year because I'll be talking on the phone and I'll be walking here and the whole phone will yank down. I keep telling these guys, get me a very cordless. Because I can't sit and talk. I can't sit and do anything.
Tiger doesn't just get around his office, he gets around the world. His home is now in New York, but he spends over half his time meeting clients around the globe. Still, Gurgaon is special. It's where GENPACT was born in 1997 as a dedicated back office for American giants GE. The young Tiger was there from the very beginning. He and his colleagues watched the organization grow from a humble subsidiary to an industry leader.
While we always had to sell within GE to bring in business, when we became independent, it was a lot of learning for us. We went through a huge amount of transition in terms of learning to deal with customers outside of GE. We have a lot of GE DNA in us. Our people practices, our approach to Six Sigma is based on what we learned with GE, and that's part of our DNA and our heritage.
Tiger took over as CEO in 2011. From zero, GENPACT today has $1.6 billion in revenue and 55,000 employees worldwide. And with the industry just 15 years old, GENPACT believes it's just getting started.
There is huge opportunity there. This industry is very underpenetrated. The canvas is just, I would say, about 5 to 10% filling up, and there's so much empty space there.
GENPACT plans to grab that growth potential using its biggest strengths, a sharp focus on customers, unmatched flexibility, and a tiger to lead the way.
Okay, so Tiger, tell us what changes you've made since you've become CEO.
We made a few changes. One, completely verticalized the organization. So we now run as industry verticals, financial services, banking, capital markets, consumer products, manufacturing, and so on. We have no headquarters now. I'm a believer that in the 21st century, if you're a globally connected, forward-looking technology kind of company and virtual, then the concept of headquarters actually is pretty meaningless. And the last one I would pick is I think we need to keep looking for capabilities that we can't build ourselves, and it's better and cheaper and often faster to buy. So acquisitions is a big part of our strategy. I mean, the one that was most fascinating for us was about 6 months back, the acquisition of a company called Empower Research that did social media analytics. We love what they do. They build insights out of conversations that people have. So it's fascinating.
And do you find that a lot of people still associate this sector as a sector that simply provides call center services?
Unfortunately, yes. 15% of what we do is call center work. It's fascinating. It's only 15%. 85% of what we do is all other kinds of things. The perception that this industry is about low value added call center type work alone. I think what that perception does to a lot of people coming out of college is they may not consider this industry as a great industry for employment. And that's tragic. Where else can you deal with the entire world and learn? Where else can you learn all kinds of industries without moving companies? Where else can you learn some of the best sciences around process and technology and analytics and data and so on? And it's very global. And you don't need to leave India to be global. That's the other fascinating thing.
Quarterly results have been a little disappointing for some companies in the sector. Do you think this is a cause of worry in terms of existing budgets, new business, hiring employees? What's your outlook?
So I would say the world is different. And I think it's important for everyone to accept it and actually thrive in it. There's no doubt that we are in a volatile, uncertain world, which is not going to change. So I think to expect the world to, go back to its original pre-recession times is I think actually foolish. What that also means is flexibility becomes very important. I mean, there are times when a client is going to say, I don't need this anymore. As a provider, I think it's important to build immense amount of flexibility, because if you are flexible and you can, change fast, then I think you can grab a lot of opportunities. What's been the reason why you were successful till today, and not just successful, wildly successful, may be the exact reason why you will not be successful tomorrow.
And just looking more broadly, India is doing well as a sector, but is slowly starting to lose market share to countries like the Philippines, South Africa, China. Do you think India is losing its edge, and what's your outlook for the future?
So I'll answer the question in two ways. As the CEO of a company that provides global services, we look for where is the best place to provide this service today and tomorrow. What's the new country, geography, location for different services that are coming up. So we love the fact that there are new geographies popping up that are becoming important, because it provides a competitive advantage if you can get there. So that's my answer as GENPACT. Obviously, the question also has to be answered in the context of India and the government and the citizen. And it is true that there are countries around the world that are beginning to offer these services. I think some of the simpler work, clearly, there's an opportunity to move it to countries that are even further behind from an evolutionary emerging market trajectory. But when it comes to complex calls, when it comes to talking to businesses, there's actually no better place than India to do that kind of work.
Great. And with that, we'll take a quick break. But before we go, we hear how Tiger got his standout name.
In my second grade, there's a poem by William Blake, Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. So we walk out of this class after studying that poem, and a bunch of my friends, all little kids, turn back to me and say, we're going to call you Tiger because we can't pronounce your name. And you have bright eyes. So I looked at them and said, fine. Whoever thought that name would stick for the next 40 years? It helps to have a name like this in India, where most names can't be remembered. So you have Jack Welch visit here, spends 3 days, meets probably 1,000 people from the company. And then he goes back, writes a book, and only remembers my name because it's the only name he remembered. It's also a great conversation starter. So with clients, you get introduced for the first time. You almost don't have to wait for the question. You might as well give the answer.